You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time.
Week 15, Miami Dolphins are on the road to the Houston Texans. And as always, I am joined by Charlie Touche. Charlie, tell them where we are at.
He's trying, boy. Kadeem is trying, boy. Hey, I forget the person's name in the comment who brought it up, but we're making an attempt over here. It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. Got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast, and official affiliates of Fanatics, where you could be a fanatic of your favorite franchise. Kadeem, it's go time. We got the Houston Texans this week. How you looking? Playoffs are on the horizon.
Yeah, it's on the horizon as long as the Dolphins do what they need to do and get some help elsewhere. But, you know, for me, it's just about, like I said, taking care of your own job, making sure that you get the win so that if anyone else slips up, you know, you can take advantage. People are already looking to, like, the game next week because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, nah, focus on the food that's in front of you. Focus on the Texans. There's enough media around the Dolphins today, given some somewhat unsurprising but surprising news in terms of roster stuff. But it'll be a good one. It'll be an interesting one to preview and then watch as it goes ahead.
Bro, listen. Puka Nacua, and I know we don't got the Rams this week, but Puka Nacua, I'm not a Puka Nacua fan. I'm not a hater either. I don't dislike the guy. I believe he's a product of Matthew Stafford. And let me land the plane. Follow me real quick. We got the Texans. But you know, we're fantasy football oriented here on Go Time Dolphins. And I told LB, I'm like, yo, Puka Nacua is not as good as everyone thinks he is, and he would not be this good on any other team. This is Matt Stafford. And then he was shocked that I said it. I'm like, bro, I don't dislike dude. I just call it how I see it. I.e., Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay vanished after Matt Stafford disappeared. Never heard of Kenny Galladay ever again. So shout out to Puka Nacua though, because he said this and I loved it. And I became a fan after he said it, like, of the person, not the player. He didn't even know he had a game in 3 days. He didn't even know who he was playing, bro. He didn't even know the team they were playing. Said, I think we got an AFC West opponent. Like, he knew that just the opponent was from the AFC West, didn't know who it was. And he's like, hold on, someone's going to tell me in a minute. And someone shouted at him and told him who the game was against 3 days. In 3 days, it was against the Niners. And he was like, oh, yeah, we got the Niners this week. Bro, Mike Gesicki did something similar. And he was like, Mike Gesicki was like, you know, obviously bringing it back to the Dolphins. Mike Gesicki was like, so they was like, hey, playoffs and this and that. And do you think about that? He said, man, I don't think about nothing. I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm just thinking about the car ride home tonight. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to players who are so locked in that they're only thinking about what's in front of them. Us, on the other hand, Kadeem, I already looked up, tallied it all up, and what we have to do, how we're going to get in the playoffs, and who's going to lose for us. You feel me? So shout out to players who can be locked in like that, man. For real. I had to throw that in there.
I have a question for fantasy, and we'll get to that later. But before we delve, do you want to do this before the preview or after the or like once we spoke about the game? And that's the Odell Beckham situation, which I guess is no longer a situation.
Let's do Odell Beckham Jr. Let's do it.
Let's do Odell Beckham Jr. So I touched my table. There's some like sweet chili sauce on my table because I was eating food earlier. My fault. Shout out to Robert Ashton says, "Hi everybody, good to see Kadeem making the effort." I need the intro. Like I thought the whole like Charlie, tell them where we're at. I thought that was slap. It didn't slap. I'll go again. So earlier today, the Dolphins announced, or it might have been Tom Pelissero announced, but the Dolphins confirmed that Odell Beckham has been released. First and foremost, are you surprised by the fact that the Dolphins have released Odell Beckham Jr. while they are still in the hunt for the playoffs?
Who was it that we were talking about Calais Campbell? Like we would have granted Calais Campbell his release, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Mike Tomlin. Like we're just going all over the NFL in the first 5 minutes. Mike Tomlin has, I think, when Mike Tomlin's gone, when he retires from football, I think he's going to get all of his credit. He gets a little bit now, but I think he's going to get all of it when he's done with football. Mike Tomlin has one of the best lines as a coach. We want volunteers. We do not want hostages. I don't want nobody that doesn't want to be here, Kadeem. And I would even go as far to say this. Shout out to J-Rob. Y'all probably heard this name, J-Rob, from time to time on this podcast. J-Rob has delivered some of the things that we have given away on this podcast, like the Jakeem Grant gloves, for example. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to J-Rob, huge Dolphin fan, huge Go Time Dolphin fan. My dog, I know him since the 10th grade. You feel me? J-Rob hit me with this one. He kind of felt the same way I felt, but I like it. Remember, Kadeem, when I told you the person who said the anonymous quote about being soft probably won't be on the team next year? It was probably Odell Beckham Jr. It makes all the sense. He looks like someone who would say this. He seems like someone who would say something like that in his with his antics when he doesn't get enough targets, and then he'll go to the locker room. I know when I came here, they had two world class receivers, and I didn't think I was going to get a lot of touches. But people think I'm always mad, and I'm not. And man, take yourself to Kansas City where you want to go to, bro. Like we don't need you here, bro. And nah, I'm not here for it. I'm not here. And I was about to say something from next Friday. He looked like the player here that sold me this. He is that. I just know that was him now, Kadeem. I knew that person who said it would not be on the team next year, and I believe it was Odell Beckham Jr.
I won't tell everyone who you first thought said it because that would be quite embarrassing.
Hey, hold on,
but no, wait.
You brought me back, and I was like, you know what? I'm tripping. I was tripping though, Kadeem. I was tripping. I was like, you brought me back.
I don't think Odell Beckham said that, and I think. Again, it's first. What's interesting is that everyone's blaming Chris Greer for this, saying, "Oh, Chris Greer's got it wrong again." And apparently, this was a Mike McDaniel situation. And if anything, Chris Greer got it so that the Dolphins didn't have to pay Odell Beckham that much compared to what he wanted. The one thing I will say is that the reason I was surprised because I didn't expect it to happen now, but I also think it's a matter of it's not like the Dolphins are going to miss him now that they're building and. If he's not getting no targets and you're stunting the growth of someone like Malik Washington, then off you go. Thanks, but no thanks. I also think he's had opportunities to make some plays, and for someone who should be more secure with his ball handling, no did he? Then I'm let down by some of the drops. So I think he had no one to blame but himself for not taking those opportunities, and. Hey, unless he starts talking bad mouth about the Dolphins now that they're building, it's onto the Texans, is what it is. You played a footnote in the history, is what it is.
We'll send you your ring in the mail, champ.
100%.
Hey, hold on, real quick. I do have to say this since we invoked the name Malik Washington. I like Malik Washington to be a thing, bro. I really like Malik Washington to be a thing. It might not be in the interim or like this year. I like it for next year. Malik Washington will be my 16th round pick in the fantasy football draft next year.
I think it's funny that people are saying, "Oh, Malik Washington deserves this chance," and I think I'm not saying he doesn't, but people are kind of saying that because of something he done on special teams. It's not like Malik Washington has. Well, he's got one touchdown on the season, and that was, I believe, an end around. Outside of that, we haven't really seen him that much in the passing game. And if anything, I thought this might be a way of getting River Craycraft more options and more targets, because since his return from injury, he hasn't really been a factor, which I find quite surprising. Shout out to Robert Ashton. He says, when we signed OBJ, everyone was happy. Great wide receiver 3. Take the coverage from Tyreek and Waddle. If you stop them, OBJ will get you. If you cover OBJ, then Waddle or Tyreek get 3. It just didn't work out. You paid your money and take your chances. Very quickly on that, it's Johnny Smith. Johnny Smith has basically become what everyone expected Odell Beckham to become. And let's be honest, I said this in a voice note to yourself and some others, that the next wide receiver stepping up is basically the 5th option on some of these reads, because you got Waddle, Hill, Johnny Smith, and Devon Achan. So best of luck to whoever steps up and gets those looks. But I wouldn't be surprised if that person doesn't get that many actual receptions or targets.
Remember we were like, yo, we can't give you $17 million. You know what I'm saying? And then he signed for like 7 or 8 or a whole incentive-based contract or something like that. And everybody like, oh, we got the clearance, great value deal. At the end of the day, it seems as if they knew he was a bit banged up, and we knew we would get him at a discount, and it is what it is. But like you said, bro, it's Achan, it's Jonnu Smith, it's the emergence of well, he hasn't emerged yet. I was gonna say Malik Washington, but yeah, we'll be all right. This is addition by subtraction.
Very, very quick. What did you say Odell Beckham was? You say your contract was, sorry?
7 in incentives or 8 in incentives?
Odell Beckham signed a 1-year contract worth $3 million. Yeah. 1.7
What are we talking about? $3 million. Oh, I think it was the max was 7 or 8, and he signed for 3. That's crazy.
So I'm looking at Spotrac right now. A signing bonus of 1.779 mil, guaranteed $3 million.
No incentives? I thought it was incentive based. Kadeem.
There might be incentives, and if they are, they're not showing up on Spotrac. But again, I also saw someone say the money given to Odell could have been given to a backup quarterback. This on what I'm seeing right now, the guaranteed money, the signing bonus. I don't know what backup quarterback you're signing for that kind of money, but people just being angry for angry's sake, and I don't have time for that no more. It's pointless.
We move on.
We do move on to the Houston Texans. Do you want to get straight into No Huddle?
Damn, I was going to take the camera off real quick, but go ahead, Kadeem.
No. Take the camera off. Do we got to do?
No, because I don't want any gripes. Like, oh, where'd you just disappear to when you calculated that? Nah, let's go. Let's bring it. Let's get it.
Oh, Charlie. No, my mind didn't even go there.
Nah, but we got viewers. You feel me? I gotta. You know what I'm saying?
We do have viewers. Let's get the timer ready. Let's stop that. We start that. So let's get the banner up as well. Charlie is 5-3. We'll call it playoffs. There's a few missed.
Oh, that should have been that should have been a good 6-2. And Buffalo hit me with a 61-yard walk-off, man. I barely lost that, bro. That's crazy. I lost it by half a point. Half a degree. Yeah.
So, just to clarify, we are on the road. So, do you want the Celsius or the Fahrenheit?
Bro, you know the rules, Kadeem. I get it in Celsius, and I convert it to Fahrenheit.
And I'm just double checking. I don't want there was no thing. So, Celsius, convert to Fahrenheit. It's a 2-point conversion. Charlie, it is 23 degrees Celsius, and your time starts now.
23 times 2, 46 plus 30, 76. Final answer.
76. Final answer. I'm on a little bit. 76. Final answer. let's get rid of the clock. We don't need that no more. Let's get our beautiful name back up. And Charlie,
Yo.
76 final answer.
Oh my goodness, bro! That's that with all the confidence. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to quick strike like Tua. Like, bro, like what? No. What is it? Is it
73. 73.
73?
Charlie, like you,
76.
I was like,
Man.
you got to 76, and I was like, okay, like take something away. I'm like, I feel like you missed a step.
No, I did miss a step, but I was confident in it. Like that was like a read where I read something. I'm like, all right, I know this is not the proper read. You know, I skipped. You know what I did? I predetermined where I was going to throw that ball. You know what I'm saying? I knew where I wanted to throw it, and it was an incomplete pass on 4th down, bro. Turnover on downs. You know what, Kadeem? Listen, I remember the days where we used to do the 2-point conversion, and I was way off. I'm just happy that it's in the neighborhood now. Like when people from across the pond hear, oh, it's going to be 25 degrees, 25 degrees Celsius. I wonder what that is in the States. And Charlie Touche says 77. It's only 4 degrees off. So I get the ballpark it. I might have took this L, but I'm improving. Something that Coach McDaniel is not.
The comparison I would have given was you're on defense, you're the cornerback, and you see the offense line up and you go, hey, I know exactly what this is going to be. I'm going to jump this route. I've got this. And you jump the route and it's the wrong play and the guy's gone. Now you got standing on the floor like, I messed up. You were so sure.
I was sure, and it was quick. It was the fastest I ever did it.
Yeah.
It was so fast, Kadeem, that I was like, oh, people going to think I cheated or something. Like I was bam, bam. You know what I'm saying? And I know where I messed up too. Look, so Robert Ashton said, I was going to just say this. You have to multiply by 1.8, not 2. And you can get away with multiplying by 2 in certain places in the degrees. And I'm not sure where it's at. And I haven't figured that out yet, where you could get away with multiplying by 2. And I thought, you know what? This is a good one. Let's just try it out. And I didn't multiply by 1.8. I multiplied by 2. And I was off by 3 degrees. And pretty embarrassing. But we in the ballpark, man.
Very embarrassing. So the injury report for the Dolphins Texans game: D. Eskridge is out. Teron Armstead is doubtful. I do not think we see him this weekend. Friend of the podcast, Bradley Chubb, is questionable, as is Grant DuBose, Blake Ferguson, Cameron Good, and Kendall Lahm. For the Houston Texans, Juice Scruggs is out, and Nick Brokaw, Kenyon Green, Christian Harris, and Jamal Hill are all questionable. What do you have for fantasy, Charlie?
Hey, it's fantasy football playoffs. If you are in a fantasy football league where your playoffs start in week 15 to 16 and the championship week is 17 and 18, right now, well, actually, I ain't gonna lie to you, 2 weeks ago was the time where you should start thinking ahead. If you're gonna make the championship, let me think ahead. Pick up players like Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen is the 2 running back for the Paper Planes. Breece Hall is down. Braylon Allen may get more touches, but Isaiah Davis that just snuck up. So you're going to start thinking about players like, all right, well, let me go to teams that aren't in contention, like Carolina Panthers. You get Xavier Legette. He should still get touches in week 18. And you start thinking about, all right, well, can I live without players like a AJ Brown or Smitty in Philly? What happens is Philly might have secured the playoffs and they start benching players halfway through a game, and you're in the middle of your championship and you're like, yo, why y'all took AJ Brown out, right? So you have to be very careful with your roster movements right now. But as far as this game goes, we're trying to make the playoffs in real life. And I'm starting Tua. I am in the playoffs right now, and I'm starting Tua, like, true story. I'm starting Tyreek Hill. I'm starting Jalen Waddle. I'm starting Jonnu Smith. I'm starting Achane. Starting Jason Sanders. Not starting the Dolphins defense. I don't know if you heard, but I was not as confident starting Jason Sanders. On the flip side, I will not start CJ Stroud. I'm starting Nico Collins, starting Joe Mixon, and that's all I'm starting over there. I ain't gonna lie to you. But yeah, man, we got a game this week, man. Kadeem, I like it.
We do. Before we get to that game, Charlie, what do you have for the easy money bet of the week?
Easy money bet of the week. The line came out with the Miami Dolphins +2. Kadeem, I gotta be honest with you. Whenever the Miami Dolphins come out underdogs. Oh wait. Oh, here we go. Whenever the Miami Dolphins come out as underdogs, you can get real creative with some of these bets. So first thing I did was go to an alternative game line. Instead of taking the +2 for like plus money, let's see where it's at right now. 1 second. +3. They really think we're not gonna win this game. It's +3, and you get -125 for the +3. So for easy money's sake, and remember, this isn't the let's get creative and see how cute I could be while I make this money. No, let's make the easiest money. So since we're already underdogs +3, and we could get that at -112, let's go to an alternative game line and see how much we could buy points and go up until we get to 250. We're already at +4, and it's -142. Excuse me. +6.5, -196. This is easy money right here. +7.5, -243. That's where we're coming in at. Easy money pick of the week. The Dolphins cover 7.5 points, and that's a lock.
So you've heard it here first. We have a few comments. Shout out to Finn's Take with CB83. Says, what's good, fellas? Cap for Life says, gentlemen, 2 fantasy league, 2 first round buys, baby. That is excellent, Cap. Hope you win both those leagues. He says, Frymouth in Pittsburgh is a nice fantasy play. I'm looking at the Tampa Bay game. Don't trust Evans, Larson all season. I'm looking at McMillan off waivers. So, Charlie,
that's some good stuff right there. That's why Cap for Life is in 2 leagues and has 2 buys because of stuff like that. I hope everyone heard it just now.
So, yeah, again, I will keep it up for people who are watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, come on over to YouTube, leave a like on the video, share the video, comment on the video, and also while you're on YouTube, jump on your phone if you're in the UK and UK only, and open up the Fantasy Game Day app like I have on my phone. Fantasy Game Day app, use code GTDFF, that's GTDFF, for 3-second entry. Now that DraftKings are out of the UK market, we have teamed up with the Fantasy Game Day app, I should say, for daily fantasy sports. And again, that's code GTDFF for 3-second entry. But yes, Dolphins, Texans, Charlie, how do you see this going down?
Prediction? No, that what we're doing here?
No, just more like how do you see like the game going, the ebbs and flows, who's going to be the key difference makers, all that kind of stuff.
Let's pull this up. I did a little homework, something that I don't really do on podcasts. You know what I'm saying? Like our podcast, we just be going with the flow. But I'm on to something, Kadeem. I am on to something. I wanted to share with the people too. Hold on, check this out. Houston Texans last 5 games. All right. Hear what? Why people say that from the islands? Hear what? Last 5 games, the Paper Planes beat the Texans 21-13. The Lions beat the Texans 26-23. As Kadeem will say, fair enough, it's the Lions. 26-23. The Texans beat the Cowboys 34-10. The Titans beat the Texans 32-27. And the Texans barely survived against the Jaguars 23-20. So they are 2-3 in their last 5 games and could easily be 1-4 losing to the Jaguars, the Titans, and the Paper Planes. The Miami Dolphins should win this game, Kadeem. There's no doubt about it that the Miami Dolphins should win this game. Not only should the Miami Dolphins win this game, this might be the type of game where it's like oh no, we didn't see this coming. You know what I'm saying? Like the same way we walked out with a win in overtime last week, and you go into Houston in their own crib and not only obliterate the plus 3 points underdog that you guys were, you can go in a game next week in the San Fran like, nah, bro, everybody's down, and I was down, but now I'm up. I was down, but now but that's such a good song. But listen, like, nah, bro. So now you're on this streak. Now you have this momentum that we have, bro. I have zero concerns about this game. I think we win handedly, if I'm being honest. And I'm not saying it's a blowout, but I think it's not competitive in my opinion.
You say you have zero concerns. Cap says, I just found out our secondary coach is the brother of the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. Legit. I don't know who that is. That's really interesting. Let us know who the person you are talking about. I love stuff like that. And then we have Finn's take say, should win by 2 scores. Defense just got to come to play. While I agree with that, I also think that our offensive tackles have to come to play because you are going into this game realistically without your starting tackles, not really ideal. And the Texans have Will Anderson and Daniel Hunter coming off the edge, and I think they've got a combined 20 sacks this season. So I know we are rightfully worried about the pressure generated by the interior, but if we're not careful, if Daniel Hunter and Anderson start to really make some plays or start generating pressure off the edge and Tua starts stepping up into more pressure, it could be a long afternoon. Or am I being negative, Charlie?
No, but at the same time, this is where, bro, it gets no more clutch than this. And we debuted a playoff picture segment for Patron. Yo, there's some alliteration in there. Playoff picture playoff picture for Patron. Playoff pick Patron playoff pick. I don't know. We'll play with it a little bit. Listen, I think we have something here. And shout out to LB because he kind of. Oh yeah, Slowick. It is Bobby Slowick. Yeah. I think
Bobby and Ryan Slowick.
Shout out to Cat for Life, Bobby and Ryan Slowick, our brothers. I actually kind of knew that. I forgot the actual last name, but I actually knew it was a thing, something like that. So listen, LB put me on this. How about this? Hold on.
While Charlie tries to find it, Cap, do you have a new photo on YouTube that looks new? Just saying.
All right. How about this? A little dive into the playoff picture real quick, Kadeem. We are a half game behind the Colts because we lost to the Colts. Yeah. Oh, can you pull off? Nah, I guess we don't have to. I was going to say pull up the playoff machine, but we lost to the Colts, so we are a half game behind the Colts. We are 6-7, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The Colts are also 6-7. But the Dolphins have a unique vantage point right now because the first team out of the playoffs are the Colts at 6-7. The second team out of the playoffs are the Dolphins at 6-7. Obviously, that would mean we need the Colts to lose one, and then we would need you could go to Broncos or the Chargers, you know what I'm saying? More realistically, Broncos or Chargers to lose a couple. But I present to you a path to the playoffs, Kadeem, where I think we as a fan base should be rooting for. And that is the Texans don't win the division and the Colts win the division. Might sound far-fetched, but let me break it down for you real quick. The Colts are 6-7 and the Texans are 8-5. All right. So since the Colts have the tiebreaker over us, if we beat the Texans this week, we will have the tiebreaker over the Texans. Right. So let me pull up. I can't pull up the Texans schedule.
I've got it here because we had this conversation. Not we, but someone had a conversation earlier today. And it's
can you tell the people who the Texans have after us?
Yeah, so they got the Chiefs next Saturday. Then they play the Ravens on Christmas Day, which is mental. A 4-day, like, to play Saturday and Wednesday is what it is. And then they finish the season against the Texans. Sorry, the Titans, sorry. So they've got the Chiefs, Ravens, and Titans as the next 3 games.
No. They have us, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Titans, correct?
Yeah, but you said after us.
Right. But listen, so there's how many L's did you hear? Potential L's did you hear in there?
Minimum of, not including us, minimum of 2.
So you got us, which is a L. You got the Chiefs, which potentially could be an L, and you have the Ravens that could potentially be an L. That could be 3 losses, right?
Yeah.
Remember that catastrophic collapse that I was talking about? This is not so catastrophic because it's like good teams and you're losing to good teams and you barely survived your last 5 games. You barely survived against Jacksonville. You lost against the Paper Planes. You lost against the Titans. Like, yo, this is, but you know what? It's like you just sitting back, Kadeem, and you're looking for the weak link. We're looking for the weak link. I thought it was going to be the Broncos because we'll talk about the Broncos schedule in a second. But the weak link are the Texans. We're going to beat the Texans. They're going to go 8-6. The hope is that the Colts would beat the Broncos because the Broncos need to lose 2 more games. If you could bring the Broncos schedule up, please, Kadeem. I believe the Broncos have the Colts, the Bengals, and Kansas City. Now, I don't believe the Colts will beat the Broncos. I'm going to be real with you. It would be too good to be true if the Colts beat the Broncos for us because it'll just line up how the Colts beat the Broncos, Dolphins beat the Texans, and now we're only 1 game out of the playoffs. Texans lose to the Chiefs or the Ravens or both, and the Broncos lose to the Chiefs or the Bengals or both, and then now the Dolphins are in the playoffs. Mind you, all of this is if the Dolphins wins out. This is not far-fetched, Kadeem.
So the Broncos have the Colts, Chargers, Bengals, and Chiefs. Yeah. Those are the last 4 games.
Colts, Chargers, Bengals, and Chiefs. Now, that last Chiefs game could be benign because the Chiefs might have the 1 seed locked up and they could be playing backups. And now somewhere along the line, Kadeem is going to say, well, that's why you should develop quarterbacks. And then the backup quarterback could come in. And then it was right there for you to take in, Kadeem, but you missed it. But anyway, listen, I do believe this is our path to the playoffs. I think we beat the Texans and hope for the Colts to win that division. Then we will have the tiebreaker and be the first team out of the playoffs. And all you need now is if the Colts do beat the Broncos, you need the Broncos to lose 1 more game while you win out. And all of a sudden, that 49ers team doesn't look that macho. That Paper Planes in week 18, easily winnable. And then you got the Browns after this, right? So you got the Browns, the Niners, and the Paper Planes. We could win out. We could run the table. And then you go in with all the momentum, bro. And I like it, Kadeem. This is the scenario that we're rooting for.
So Cat for Life says, I'm playoff predictor 1 out. Color broke it down on the spaces. We can technically still get the 7th seed. Shout out to Chris Smith. He says, we need the Chiefs to lose at least 1 game and the Bills win out to guarantee the Chiefs don't sit starters against Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lulu Leah says, we just need to win out, period. And I think we could talk about who the Colts have got, who the Broncos have got, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, if you're the Dolphins, you're focusing purely on the Texans. As fans, as podcasters, as content creators, we can look beyond that. But I do think none of it makes any difference if the Dolphins don't take care of the Texans this Sunday. It's all good us sitting here going, the Texans might collapse and win what's in front of you. Tua continues playing like this. If the defense doesn't even do anything spectacular, just improve like by 10%, then this should be a game which we should win candidly and comfortably. But any given Sunday, you never know what can happen. Hopefully, the sudden release of Odell Beckham listen, he wasn't a bad egg as far as we know, but it's like, hey, that's someone who didn't want to be here no more. Let's make him regret it as we go on to win a ring, and he might get a ring, but he knows he wasn't a part of that. So, listen, do you think we'll see friend of the podcast, Bradley Chubb, on Sunday, or do you think so? So I asked that. Coach McDaniel said it's probably a week out, but also, you just released Odell Beckham Jr. There's a roster spot. Do you elevate Bradley Chubb for the game?
I say no, and this is why. I think you got to dance with the person you brought. And I know we kind of brought Chubb, but we didn't really, he wasn't like under our arm. You know what I'm saying? Like we had to carry him. You feel me? But no, you got to dance with the person who you brought. And here's what I mean by that. Bradley Chubb is due some money. All right. And you can part ways with Bradley Chubb and protect yourself, i.e. Daniel Jones in New York, where there's an injury clause and you might not want to pay all this money. So, Daniel Jones, guess what? You're never going to step foot on this football field again. And we're not going to pay you an additional, let's just say $30 million. So for the contract's sake, I say Bradley Chubb does not step on the field until we absolutely need him. And you can make the argument that we need him now, which we kind of do. I ain't gonna lie, but you have a job as a GM. And it's like, listen, if the Colts do lose and the Broncos end up beating, I don't know, I think the Bengals next is looking real grim for our situation, even though we're winning, right? You just have to play out, you have to weigh out both sides. Right? If I play Chubb and he gets hurt and we're giving away an additional free $50 million, or I could not play him and wait until we absolutely need him. Like, all right, we are making the playoffs. Now let's put in Chubb. That's something you have to consider. So for me, right now, I do not put in Bradley Chubb, and that's where I'm at, bro.
So I disagree with your Daniel Jones comparison, because Daniel Jones and the Giants were going nowhere. They were looking at going, hey, you aren't elevating this team. You are bringing nothing to this team outside of L's. We need to move on from you. Off you go. Chubb isn't a hindrance to this team. I think, like what Chris Smith says, we can ease Chubb in an obvious passing down. You can suit him up. He doesn't need to play, but have him suited up. Hey, it's a key 3rd and 15, or 3rd and 7. It's an obvious pass rush situation. Pin your ears back, Chubb. See what you can do. In the worst case scenario, he gets hurt. But I think when the Dolphins are running out of games, anyone who can help, even if it be 2 or 3 snaps, I think they should be activated and used. I'm not saying go out there and play him every single down, every single snap, but I think having him there as a precaution just in case, I wouldn't be against it. It does sound like he probably is a week away, but if he's able to go, then 10, 15 snap maximum, I wouldn't be against it. And if he gets hurt, I guess that's the price of playing football.
You said worst case scenario, he gets injured. That is the worst case scenario, Kadeem. And then you're tied into him for next year too. And he just missed this season. We didn't use him. We didn't use him in the playoffs last season. He missed the whole season this season, and then he's going to miss the whole season next season. If you put him in a game that what's our record? 6-7.
7, yeah.
You're 6-7. You put him in the game and he gets hurt. That is 2 seasons of free money for Bradley Chubb. I don't know if I'm willing to risk that, bro.
Okay, but then
and to be fair, it's not that yeah, we could use him, but I think these are games we can win without him. Like, you have to be able to weigh out the risk versus the reward when you're talking about something like this. Like, you're 100% locked in if you put Bradley Chubb in this week or this season.
But also, you're running out of games. So, like, when is an acceptable time to play him? When the Dolphins make the playoffs. Hey, we're in the playoffs. All hands on deck. Bradley Chubb, first snap gets hurt.
He could have got first snap. Could have got hurt when he comes in for you. Like, no. Like, he should get hurt right there too.
So then, at that point, just don't play him at all. Say, hey, we aren't even going to risk it. I'm saying whether he gets hurt this week or in the playoffs, to me, it doesn't matter.
But I said risk versus reward. So the risk of putting him in now is still there. The reward while you're 6-7 and need teams around you to lose to get in the playoffs, it's not worth it. There's no reward there. The risk to play him in the playoffs mean there's a reward of you're in the playoffs, you can win a playoff game. So for myself, I'm like, it's let's be real. It's a lose-lose in my opinion. Well, not even a lose-lose. It's like a double-edged sword. One side is just sharper than the other, in my opinion. So yeah, I just want to wait till we can and plus, excuse me, the more time he has off, the more time hopefully it means he's recovering. So if he's gonna get hurt, he's gonna get hurt, and that means I don't want him to get hurt at all. But if he gets hurt, I prefer it to be in the playoffs.
I get that. It's like I said, we're running out of time. We need wins. If you're good to go, you're good to go. But listen, that's a conversation for people who get so much more paid, so much more money than us. Cap for Life says 1,000% Kadeem, all hands on deck. Chris Smith says pros, he makes an impact. Risk, he gets hurt like he's been all year. I know we've done a Patreon episode on Teron Armstead. Again, he's questionable. I really can't see him playing this week. We asked this on Patreon. Charlie, do we see Teron Armstead at all? Or is this Mike McDaniel doing his best Brian Flores impression and saying, maybe this week, maybe, and Will Fuller, maybe this week, and then you just never see Teron Armstead again?
I think we have seen the last of Teron Armstead in the Miami Dolphins uniform, unfortunately. I don't think he plays. I don't think he comes back. I don't think he comes back this season. I don't think he comes back next season. And kind of ties into the Bradley Chubb's conversation. Well, how many L's are we going to take here? So, it's unfortunate. It is what it is. We move on. Next man up.
We do move on. Chris Smith says no pass rush has our corners getting cooked. Charlie, what is your score prediction for the game against the Texans?
I'm going to say 27-17.
I was going to go 24-17. I take it you're going for a Dolphins win, right?
Dolphins win 27-17.
But then do you still get the easy money pick of the week with that?
Yeah, because you covered the 7.5. So that means as a matter of fact, we can do an alternate game line. This is gonna bring back some big bread. I ain't gonna lie. Let's bring it up real quick. If the Dolphins win by 10 points, if you bet on the Dolphins to cover a 10-point victory while they're underdogs, your payout would be, let's see. Dang, look at this. 9.5. So let's say the Dolphins covered is 9.5. Plus 372. So yeah, you put $100 down on that, you bring back $472. If they cover 9.5 points, I would not bet that, but that's the line for it. So yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to cover that plus 7.5. This is minus 9.5. This is there's a huge difference in there. But anyway. Yeah, man, I think we're gonna win this. I think we'll be rubbing hands, and I think we're gonna be looking at other people around us like who could help us get in. Help me out.
Fair play, Charlie. I've had some recent really good questions, if I say so myself. And I've got another one for bonus time. So if you're ready, unless you've got anything else to discuss on this side of bonus time, overtime. And if you head into overtime, that is the segment overtime. I apologize.
Yeah, hey, we got some name changes coming up. We're gonna rebrand a little bit of rebranding, start renaming some of the segments. Y'all already know. Y'all know what time it is. Stay positive, test negative. For Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Already.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time.
So, as confirmed, I did not make the playoffs in the Go Time Dolphins Rookie League. It is what it is. I'm okay with it. But I saw this scenario on social media, Charlie, and I want to get your opinion on it, and also everyone in the comments. In a fantasy league, two teams facing each other, benched everyone, empty, so that they could draw, and then someone else would miss out on the playoffs. Is that fair? And what do you think of that scenario? So again, basically benching your entire benching their entire teams to stop someone else from getting the playoffs.
I want to be very clear. There's nuances here. Are both of the teams, if they do this, do they both make the playoffs?
I believe in the scenario, both teams are in the playoffs already.
All right. In the event where this preserves playoffs positioning or playoff positioning or seeding, if they did not talk to each other and did this without talking to each other, I do not believe that's collusion. I believe that's fair game. I believe people in the NFL teams do that right now. We want to play this person instead of that. We want to play this team instead of that team. We want this team to get in the playoffs instead of that team because this is an easier victory for us. So in essence, that's all they just did. So if they did not collude and say it, hey, let's do this, and we're both safe. This other team, for example, let's just say your playoffs started in week 14. So your two playoff weeks are 14 and 15 if you have multiple playoff weeks. And Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are on a bye week. If I know I win this last game of the season, I play someone who has this juggernaut of a team. But if I lose, I get to play Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry on a bye in the first week. Guess what? I might not be putting out the most successful roster out there because I want to play a certain team. Now, if you talked about it and colluded, no, I think both of you guys should be suffer consequences. If it was my league, both of you guys would be kicked out the league. I think that's fair game. Last but not least, for those who don't think that's fair, I would just say win more games and you won't be on the bubble. So other teams can't do that. That's what people do in real life. They sit players. Oh, we resting players. We don't care if we lose this week. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's fair game.
Yeah. So I found the tweet. I'll show it on my phone quickly. You can see everyone's benched. Like there's no one starting. And the person says, 2 players in my league benched all their players to force a tie and eliminate me from the playoffs. I tried to explain this as cheating and collusion, but they think they are being smart. So it sounds like they both knew what they were doing. This was something that they discussed.
Hit the brakes. Doesn't mean they discussed it, Kadeem. It could mean, all right, I'm going to give you an example. And I know this is wild for me to bring up because people would probably be like, bro, why would you do that? I have a tactic. This is a true story. You can holler at the average white guy. You can holler at Sherrod Steve. Josh Kasker has played in the league for a couple of seasons now, so he may have seen me do this, but I haven't done it against him. But then in my main league, I do this all the time. You know, when the week starts and you can see the projections of, okay, you're supposed to win this week by 10 points or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
Or it might be, you're projected to have 124 and the other team is projected to have 126 or something, right? I don't like that, Kadeem. So what I do, oh, did we lose Kadeem? Oh, there we go. So what I do, Kadeem, I bench all of my players. I don't want my opponent to see my projection. Like, that's just, it's not every week. It's certain weeks, right? I believe it gives me a competitive advantage. What's the advantage? Maybe the opponent is like, yo, I was going to play this player because my projection said X, Y, and Z. And then when the Thursday night game comes up, Kadeem, I'll put my one player in for that Thursday night game. So now the projections are 124 versus 20. Like, so he still doesn't have a gauge. And this is over the top if I'm being real with you. That being said, there's a chance that, and this has happened, someone sees me do it and they do it too. Like, oh, if I can't see your roster, you won't see my roster. You see what I'm saying? And then what happens is they forget to set their Thursday night lineup, and then I got up on them. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying they necessarily spoke to each other. I don't think it was discussed. It could have been for sure. But if you're locked into your league and yo, I already won this. Like I told you, like we had this conversation, like, yo, you should know what's going on with your team. Should you bench a player? Should you bench a defense? Stuff like that. If this happens and the other team follows suits, here's the problem. The problem is, what if Sunday comes up and one person plays a person and at 12:59 puts a person in, now he wins the week. So that's a risk that you take.
So Cap for Life says it's creative, I'll tell you that. Says ultimately the commissioner has to agree. For someone who isn't a fantasy person, and having explained the scenarios we done earlier this season, to me, this is fair game. This is like, hey, if we can stop someone really good getting the playoffs, and I say really good, you clearly weren't good enough to get there on your own. It doesn't bother me. If it happened to me, I'll be salty. But hey, they're clearly worried about me getting the playoffs. To me, it's no different than, and again, it's obviously from the UK. I watch UK football. It's no different in like a final World Cup. You watch the World Cup, final World Cup group game.
Yep.
Both teams have really qualified, but they also kind of know that one team can still qualify. So we're just gonna play out a draw.
It's a glorified scrimmage. It's well, since we talk about the World Cup, it's a glorified friendly. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna kick this ball around and practice passing the whole game.
Exactly. And people will say, "Oh, it's unfair," and I'll say, "To the other team, win your other games." Had nothing to do with me.
Won
100%. So I can see why you're annoyed, but you've had 14 weeks to get in the playoffs, and if you haven't done it, over. And listen, as Cat for Life says, if anything, that person's gonna have to trade in me next season and give me a very good deal if I let that slide. Listen, these.
I ain't gonna lie. That's collusion right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have to say that to the person, like, hey, remember I did this for you type stuff, that becomes collusion. Now, if it's just two teams on the cusp of the playoffs and it is noticeable, like, hey, I'm gonna bench my players, I'm locked in. And this guy says he's benching his player, he's locked in. Yo, I don't see nothing wrong with that, bro. That happens in real life.
Listen, if you ain't trying to cheat, then you ain't trying to win. That's all I'm saying.
It's not cheating. It's not cheating.
I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying like this again.
And here goes Kadeem messing up another quote. Is if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. He said, if you ain't trying to cheat, you ain't trying to win. Like, Kadeem, boy, this man is undefeated and messing up quotes.
It's going to be a Go Time Dolphins t-shirt. If you ain't trying to cheat, you ain't trying to win. Let me have that, okay? Cap for Life calls it a favor. Before we get out of here, just want to get your quick thoughts on Devondre Campbell on Thursday Night Football.
What happened?
You don't know?
Nah.
Charlie, 49ers are playing. Third quarter. Devondre Campbell does this. Oh.
Yeah.
Devondre Campbell quit on the 49ers, Charlie. Third quarter, said, I'm done. And George Kittle was like, nah. Basically, all the 49ers players that they spoke to after was like, nah, he's done. Like, hope he gets cut, hope he gets fined, all this kind of stuff. And I think it's been confirmed now that they are going to release him. There might be a fine, might be a suspension. But Devondre Campbell quit on the 49ers, said, I don't want to play no more. Told Kyle Shanahan, I do not want to play. And that was it.
What position is he?
Linebacker. He's the one who essentially he was with the Packers last year, and I believe he kind of quit on the Packers. He was kind of like, nah, I ain't trying to play with the Packers. Got picked up by the 49ers. And how would no one seen Devondre Campbell leave? Like, this is mental.
But listen, I think if he retires, I you know how I feel about people just quit when they sign a quit. You just know, If he quit on a team, I don't like it. I don't like it even if he retires. There's a better way. You know what I'm saying? But dang, that's crazy, bro. Hey, let's get up out of here. Oh, matter of fact, before we go, I got something for you real quick while we're here on Go Time Dolphins and not somewhere else. Would you do Jalen Waddle for DK Metcalf 1-for-1 trade in real life? This is real life.
Yeah, I think I would.
Let us know in the comments. Would you guys trade Jalen Waddle for DK Metcalf 1-for-1? And I got another one for you, Kadeem. Would you do Jalen Waddle and a 3rd-round pick for AJ Brown?
Yeah, I probably would as well. Yeah,
me too. I got yes for both. Check me for both. Here's the thing. I think the Niners need to break it down, and we're about to get up out of here. I think the Niners need to tear it down, and Debo need to be traded. Ayuk needs to be traded. Brock Purdy could walk. I think he has 1 season left. CMC is done. They're finished. They missed their window. It's unfortunate, and I think they need to tear it all down. And I would also say they need to be the first team to start this trend, and I think teams are going to do this. Sign a quarterback, draft a quarterback, let him play out the contract, let him move on. Don't even pay $60 million for quarterbacks. We're just going to keep finding a quarterback, and that's where you have to develop. And no one has done it yet, but I think people are going to try to stay away from $60 million contracts for quarterbacks, and someone's going to try to do it. And if you want my advice, San Francisco 49ers, maybe you trade for Bryce Young. And now you still have a rookie quarterback, on a rookie contract, and it's pretty sexy. So, yeah, man, that's all I got.
Cat for Life says he would do it. So, yeah, we will be back Sunday or Monday, Charlie, when we recording the review for the game.
Oh, can you go Sunday?
I can go Sunday.
Let's go Sunday.
Then we will be back Sunday to review the Dolphins beating the Houston Texans. And yes, I said beating. So until then, we shall see you.